Hey guys, welcome to another book review. Today I'm going to be talking about Wildfire by Hannah Grace, which I just finished recently. She also wrote Icebreaker, so this is the second book of the Maple Hills series. And she announced her third book is going to be called Daydream, and it's going to be about Henry and some girl, I think she's a librarian author type. But this story was about Russ and Aurora, and Russ is mentioned in the first book, so is mentioned in Icebreaker, so I would totally recommend reading that if you want to have like some basis on Russ as a character before. Anyways, let's get into the story. So, the plot. The main trope of this story is hookups to lovers, which I love a good hookups to lovers story. I think it's like one of my top 5 tropes. So, essentially in this book, they meet at a hockey house party that Russ and his teammates, because Russ is the goalie on the college's hockey team, Russ and his teammates are throwing a going away party for some of the members who are just graduating and doing their own thing. So literally did not move that out of frame at all. Okay, so, they're at this party. Russ is pretty quiet. He's not the most confident, but he ends up meeting this girl, Aurora, who is really confident, and she's looking for a good time, and so Russ and Aurora end up hooking up. And when I tell you, like, they are both describing, the book is dual POV, so they are both describing the sex they had with each other as if it's the best sex they have ever had in their lives, and that no other sex they have with any other person could top this. So, basically, they hook up, and after they're done, Russ goes to the bathroom, and Aurora is thinking, he's been in there for a while, he's probably waiting for me to leave, so she just gets up and leaves. Anyways, Aurora is okay with leaving because she has to wake up and go to a summer camp because she's a camp counselor. But little does she know, Russ is a camp counselor too, and so they end up meeting each other at the same camp, Honey Acres summer camp, and they're both camp counselors. But biggest rule of the camp is that counselors aren't allowed to get together. It's not allowed. They can't kiss, they can't have sex, they can't do anything. They're not allowed. So, what do you think happens when two people who honestly believe that the best sex they've ever had in their lives was with each other? What do you think happens? But Aurora's like, you know what? I really liked Russ. Like, whatever. Let me just try to go talk to him. Russ will not talk to this girl, won't even look at her in the eyes. But they talk things out, and they figure out that Russ didn't want to make her uncomfortable because he thought she left because she didn't want to hang out with him. And we find out that the reason Russ was in the bathroom for so long was because he was giving himself a pep talk in the bathroom mirror to try to ask Aurora out. I thought that's just so cute. One of my favorite things about Russ throughout the whole story is that one of like his mottos is that nobody knows you're not confident but you. So, he has a whole, like, fake it till you make it thing, and I love it, which he got from JJ, who's another side character, but I love it. So, overall, I would rate this book a 4.1 out of 5. And I think you guys will understand why I liked this book so much once we talk about the characters. So, here we go. When I tell you that the characters of this book are what make the rating 4.1 out of 5, I mean it. So, let's get into Russ. Russ is a character whose dad has a gambling addiction, and it has caused a lot of stress for Russ in his life. He's kind of become really closed off and very, like, distant, and he doesn't really want to let anybody in. He wants to keep to himself. He's also extremely embarrassed of his dad's gambling addiction, and he doesn't really want anybody to know about it because he doesn't want to get into the feelings of everything and whatnot, and so he kind of keeps to himself, and he's very, like, just walls and walls and walls, you know, he's putting up walls and walls and walls, and nobody's breaking them down. But so he has a lot of stress in his life, and he decides that hopefully the summer camp can help him. And then Aurora is almost in like direct contrast. She has a very distant father and a very overbearing mother, but she's very confident and she is loud and she is just herself all the time, and she's an oversharer. So that's mainly like the big difference between them, the two of them, is that Aurora overshares everything, her feelings, her thoughts. She will tell anybody anything if given the opportunity to talk long enough, and Russ just won't. So Aurora has a lot of problems with feeling wanted and wanting to make sure that like people want her and they want her around and she's not being a hindrance to anybody. She needs that. She needs that validation. And Russ gives her to it. Like gives it to her. That's what I meant to say. Gives her the validation she needs. And honestly, Aurora does the same thing for Russ. Like, even if it's not as talked about in the book, Russ still wants to feel wanted and like he's important and that he deserves things, and that's what Aurora makes him feel. Like, so they are honestly such good characters, and there's so much like backstory to these characters, and there's so much like emotional trauma sort of that like we see and how it affects people and how it affects relationships. And honestly, I like how well the author captured it, and you guys will hear more about that when I talk about the things that I highlighted in the story. But when I tell you like the character development with these characters and how well they mesh together to make each other better, I loved it. I loved it, and I loved their development, and I think they're like a power couple together. I think that their personalities are so like different, but they push each other outside of their comfort zones. It's like an example of a healthy relationship even with an unhealthy past. And it is just so like comforting, and it kind of makes me create this like odd personal connection with the book, because I was once told that maybe I should get a little more personal with my book reviews. So I felt like this book really kind of like I was able to relate aspects of my life to it better than most books I've read. Like, I was able to relate to these characters the most out of any characters that I've read recently, you know? So these characters, I mean, their personalities, everything about them, their past, and how detailed it is, and how well they mesh together, again, it's just, that's what makes this book 4.1 out of 5. And so that you guys will understand how relatable this author has made this book, I'm going to tell you guys everything I've highlighted in my Kindle. So let's get into the quotes. Okay, I'm going to read you guys these quotes. So, the first thing I highlighted was chapter 4. And this is, Aurora says this about the way Russ is looking at her. And this is what I need. I need to be looked at like this. She says, "It's not that I've never been told I'm hot before. I have. But this guy seems tortured by it. Like he'll never recover from it. Like I'm the tipping point of his sanity. And that is a feeling I could get addicted to." If that's not like what I want, because it's like I'm tired of just being told I look hot. I know. Give me something more. And Russ is doing the more, you know? Okay. Anyways, this is honestly a quote that I think every single person who reads romance books will find just relatable. This is the most relatable thing, one of the most relatable things I've highlighted throughout this whole book. Aurora also says, "For all the romance books I've read and all the happy endings I've enjoyed, I can't imagine my own. I'd like to hope I'll have one, but hope can be dangerous." Ah, that's so relatable. That's so relatable. And then it's awful that this is in a romance book, you know? Okay. My next highlight. Okay. My next highlight is in chapter 6. And Aurora also says, It's fine, because you can't be disappointed by someone you have zero faith in. This is the most relatable thing to anybody who has had to put, like, zero faith in a parent because they cannot prove themselves. They can't prove you wrong. You know, and it's like when you have a parent who's so, like, distant and absent that you have to set your expectations to absolutely zero in order to not be disappointed, like, that's just what it is. And I love that Hannah Grace was able to, like, nail this feeling exactly throughout this book, and how having parents who don't do their job as parents and who don't show you that unconditional love does exist and who don't make you feel like you're everything to them, how it affects you in your life, in your way of thinking forever, and how it will affect your idea of relationships. But this book proves that if you find, like, the person who can help you through it, then you find love, and you find that unconditional love that you just don't have from a certain person who is supposed to be giving it to you, you know? Okay. And then she also says, this is the number one relatable thing she says throughout this whole book. It feels like a cruel twist of fate to have one parent who doesn't give a shit and one parent who cares far too much. That is so fucking relatable. That's so relatable. And everybody needs to understand that this is honestly the first book I've ever read where that has just been so perfect. You know? Okay. So in chapter 15, this is the first Russ highlight. Russ says they don't choose to hurt the people they love. And he's talking about his dad and his dad's addiction. And that honestly, they don't choose to hurt the people they love, but they do. And then it's like, then it feels like a choice, you know? And then you've reached the point where it's like, this feels like a choice. So, this book has so many relatable things. And I hope you guys like these quotes. And if you don't, you guys can tell me to, like, take them out. But I hope that some of these quotes will inspire you to read them. Okay. Now, going back to Aurora in chapter 23. Mostly, I can't believe there's a guy who genuinely wants to spend time with me and have a connection with me beyond one that happens when we're naked. I know that bar is low for me when it comes to men, which frequently makes me mistrust my own judgment. This, like, and again, these quotes are so relatable because she's relating them back to, like, these issues that honestly stem from having parents with problems. Like, the bar is so low for what you would accept from a man that basically anybody should be able to reach it. But it's also like, you have this really weird, like, ability when you have, like, a distant parent to find the worst people to date and you date them. I don't know what that is. Ask anybody, any of your friends that have a parental issue, and they can tell you the exact same thing. So, what did I just knock over? Whatever. So, and I'm telling you, oh my God, I'm saying all these quotes in the character development that they have throughout this whole story, and the support that they show each other throughout this whole story is so refreshing, and it gives me, like, hope for myself, you know? Okay. Here's the next highlight, where Aurora says, I am a rambler. That's the only thing I have highlighted on this page because it's true. I'm a yapper. Anyways, my next highlight is he throws an arm over the back of the seat as he looks over his shoulder to drive in reverse up the dirt track back to the road. Again, hot or easily impressed. When men do that, oh my God. Oh, I don't know what it does to me. And again, the author was able to encapsulate that perfectly. Okay. Chapter 32. This one comes from Russ, but I'm not going to believe it until I see it with my own eyes. So, this is about whether his father can change or not after his addiction, or, you know, can just change. And like, I'm telling you, that's also so relatable. But it's that Aurora and him kind of have like that same ideology that like they won't really change. You can hope and hope and hope, but they really probably won't. Aurora doesn't give up on that hope, really. But Russ, we kind of see, does. And then it's almost kind of like they swap. And how maybe that swap is good for them, you know? So just saying, if you're relating to any of these quotes, I would recommend reading the book. Okay. Another chapter I have, this is from Russ's point of view, but this one is what somebody else says to him. When you spend a long time self-destructing, sometimes your pieces don't fit back together quite right. I'm just going to leave that there. Okay. The next highlight I have is because this is from Russ, because I don't know how to process things without clamming up like an asshole. Also leaving that there. Okay. Oh God. Okay. Another quote from Russ. I wanted my dad to change for so long that I'm scared to start things. It's like, so Russ's dad is at this point where he's kind of trying to talk to Russ about changing. And Russ kind of has an opening to express his feelings. And he's like, I've wanted this for so long that it's scaring me that it's happening. And that is also ridiculously relatable. So, okay. Another highlight I have is, I can't say anything because I'm scared of opening my mouth. I relate to that. When I'm in a confrontation with somebody like my father, I don't want to talk. And I'm saying all of these quotes are so impressive to me because it's like, this feels like my feelings on a page, and I'm not that great at expressing my emotions. So I have a personal connection to this book now. If that makes sense and that doesn't make me sound crazy. Okay. The next highlight I have is said by Henry. And Henry says, fake dating. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I highlighted this because we know that her third book is going to be Henry's book. And that theme is that their trope is fake dating. So I highlighted that because I was like, I love this illusion. Okay. And the last highlight, I know, so sad. The last highlight I have is what Russ says to Aurora, and I need a man to say this to me. You are the most capable woman I have ever met in my life. There's nothing you could suggest that I wouldn't support. I will be there to hold your hand through all of it, Roar. But you don't need me to. You've never needed me to be incredible. You just are. And I love you more than I can put into words. You're kidding? You're kidding? God! Anyways. That was my book review. I hope that my review inspired you to go read it. I would 12,000% recommend it. And thanks for watching.